Coming up next, a newborn baby was stolen from a hospital ward in Brooklyn.
And thousands are gathering to hear the president of Haiti at the UN.
Why doctors in New York State want to thumb their nose at federal guidelines on testing them for AIDS.
And House members try to duck charges that they are freeloaders.
See you soon.
The birds and the bees.
I remember when I was 10 years old, my mother coming in saying, okay, now I'm going to explain the birds and the bees to you. I said, Mom, I already know.
How do you want your kids to learn about sex?
What sticks in my mind is recently that she explains it more to me.
Plus, Lily Tomlin joins us live.
Excuse me while I fluff up.
Tomorrow on Good Day New York.
You better sit down for this. The tampon you probably used was designed by a man a half-century ago. To absorb, it goes longer and longer. You better sit down. A woman, a doctor, designed a tampon that expands all around it, fit better, and prevent fluid from going by. It's OB. You can stand up for it. Oh, and there's no applicator to stand in the way in the environment. OB. You can stand up for it.
This neighborhood produces most of our Olympic team stars. It's where you'll find the Emerson Flag Company. They send thousands of flags to the Olympic Games, and for rush orders, they use express mail from the Postal Service. It offers convenient pickup service, guaranteed overnight delivery, plus great low prices, which could help a small company like this have a banner year.
We deliver for you.
Now, forget who you are. Forget what you're doing. Forget everything. And everyone, because soon, all you remember is the Thrill-A-Minute Thriller.
Starts Friday, October 11th at a theater near you.
Ray Charles didn't want a tribute, so his friends are throwing him a party.
Sunday at 9:30 on Fox 5.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
From Fox 5, this is the 10 o'clock news with John Rowland, Cora Ann Mahalik, Nick Gregory with weather, and Carl White with sports.
Good evening. One of New York's finest is in the hospital right now. More proof of how dangerous it is being a cop in our town these days. And the young man accused of shooting him is proof that a teenage boy with a gun can try to kill just like a man. Eric Sean reports from Brooklyn.
It is an all-too familiar progression: anger, an argument, and gunfire. But this time police say the gunman was 15 years old. Mark McGregor allegedly shot a neighbor, 37-year-old Glenn Cooper, in the lobby of his Flatbush, Brooklyn apartment building as Cooper tried to stop a fight between neighborhood kids. Then the teen allegedly opened fire on 34-year-old police sergeant John Massoni, who has been working at the 71st Precinct in Flatbush for just 2 weeks. The sergeant was hit in the neck and stomach by 2 .38 caliber slugs. He was not wearing his bulletproof vest.
It was a dispute that's been going on for some time, and this morning there was the argument. The young suspect that we have in custody got a gun from some location and shot the victim.
At 8:23, Sergeant Massoni responded to a call of an assault in progress. As he and 3 other officers walked into this building, suddenly gunfire ripped through the inside vestibule glass doors. If you look here, you can see the bullet holes. The officers returned the gunfire, hitting the 15-year-old suspected gunman in the thigh.
I ran out in the hallway, and I saw Glenn laying down, and he had blood coming from somewhere. And by that time, I heard the cop cars coming, and I went over to Glenn. I said, "You all right? You all right?" And he said, "Yes, I'm all right," like that.
The injured sergeant said to the driver, I have this is almost a direct quote, I suppose. He said, "Take me to a good hospital. I have a wife and 2 kids." And the driver responded, "I'll take you to Kings County. It's the best around."
McGregor lives across the street with his mother and 2 brothers. He is being charged with attempted murder as an adult. Mr. Mayor, here we have a 15-year-old, not even old enough to drive a car, who allegedly blatantly fired at police officers. What does that say to you about what needs to be done?
Well, it says a number of things. Obviously, one, we got to get rid of the guns. And two, we've got to somehow or other get through to young people that the resolution of disputes is not that kind of violence.
Sergeant Missoni, who lives on Staten Island, is expected to survive. In Brooklyn, I'm Eric Shawn, Fox 5 News.
The House and Senate passed a bill calling for health care workers to be tested for AIDS. This bill will put pressure on the states to impose testing. Those states who refuse would be cut off from federal funding. But a state advisory committee says New York should take that risk. Penny Crone reports.
Romance, love, sex. It touches all our lives, be it real or on the screen. But let us never forget the importance of protection in choosing the right sex partner. We learned all about that in the 80s. Now, we're in the 90s and learning the importance of choosing the right doctor.
Through policies promoting infection control procedures, new efforts to require compliance with infection control guidelines, and development of new technologies, we can best prevent exposure of patients and healthcare workers to HIV and HBV in healthcare settings.
Dr. Rosenfield is the Dean of Columbia University's School of Public Health and the chairman of the State AIDS Advisory Subcommittee. The committee is recommending New York ignore federal guidelines that would force or even pressure healthcare workers to be tested for the AIDS virus.
The New York State guidelines do not recommend mandatory testing of healthcare workers, but instead recommend an individualized, case-by-case review of healthcare workers whose HIV infection is known.
There is one glaring case where a patient allegedly wasn't informed her doctor was infected with the HIV virus. Kimberly Bergalis is the first person in the country to apparently contract AIDS from her dentist.
I did nothing wrong, yet I'm being made to suffer like this. My life has been taken away. Please enact legislation so that no other patient or health care provider will have to go through the hell that I have.
With it all, the New York State Advisory Committee says mandatory testing could ruin an HIV-infected doctor's entire practice.
We believe in conclusion that mandatory testing is not the appropriate way to go.
Under the proposed mandatory testing bill, any state that fails to impose the CDC guidelines would lose all public health service funds, including money for child immunizations. Penny Crone, Fox 5 News.
Senator Howard Messenbaum says he plans to put up a fight against Judge Clarence Thomas right up to the vote on him in the Senate on Tuesday. But he admits it's a losing battle. It looks like the judge has at least 53 votes for confirmation to the Supreme Court. He only needs 51. Weish Fowler of Georgia became the 12th Democrat to back Judge Thomas, and Senator Cohen of Maine, a Republican, said he is backing the judge.
Robert Gates tried to make today his day as he went before the Senate Intelligence Committee. He is the man the president wants to head the CIA. He once was the #2 man. Earlier this week, several former analysts testified that Gates slanted intelligence reports for political reasons. Gates denied those allegations, but he did admit he should be more sensitive to those beneath him at the agency.
And still ahead, the woman who won the Nobel Prize for Literature.
A special visitor for the little girl who was a victim of a vicious case of child abuse. Another Democrat says, count him in, he wants to be president.
And if you can't get enough of Madonna, you'll get your pick of 3 new books about her.
Going that extra mile, giving it all we got. The extra we do, we're doing for you. You can expect a lot. Food Town, expect the extras.
Expect the extras. Food Town mozzarella, part skimmer, whole milk, 1-pound package, $1.99. Progresso tomatoes, crushed to puree, 2 28-ounce cans, 99 cents. Cremette pasta, assorted varieties, 3 16-ounce boxes, $1.
Expect the extras at Food Town.
Hey, nice suit. Expensive?
Not at Burlington Coat Factory.
Designer dress. Cost a lot?
Not at Burlington Coat Factory.
Wow, great outfits. Cost your mom plenty?
Not at Burlington Coat Factory.
But why do they call it Burlington Coat Factory?
Because they have more bees than anybody.
Besides, ever try to say Burlington ladies, men's, kids, suits, shirts, sportswear, linens, dresses, furs, slacks, Coat Factory?
This portion of the news brought to you by Diamante, the new luxury performance sedan from Mitsubishi.
Ever since Mitsubishi Motors began 75 years ago, the diamond has been used as the unbending guiding principle of Mitsubishi quality. The name Mitsubishi means 3 diamonds. Now, for its diamond anniversary, Mitsubishi proudly introduces the Diamante, a new luxury performance sedan that is brilliant in every facet. The new Diamante from Mitsubishi. The word is getting around.
These days, reputed mobsters are as likely to be at a courthouse as their favorite hangout. Some are on trial and others are testifying against them. Pablo Guzman reports.
The usual assortment of alleged wise guys, wise guy associates, and wannabe wise guys made their standard appearance at yet another John Gotti pretrial hearing. Basically, the chief reason why Gotti and company were in court this time was to get a date for the start of the trial. But things below the surface are never quite what they otherwise seem to be at a Gotti proceeding. For instance, by way of introducing himself into this bit of legal theater, there was the posturing of the attorney Gotti has chosen to replace Bruce Cutler, one Albert Kriegel.
Mr. Gotti controls his own situation. He is a man of intelligence, sensibility, and sensitivity.
Then there was the counterpunch to the government's charge that Gotti was picked up on a secret tape ordering the murder of attorney James LaRosa, who made a point of showing up in court and exchanging a familiar greeting with Mr. Gotti.
This was nothing but a joke. This was a group standing around talking about bringing me into the case or not and kidding around about what they would do or say if I said no. Everybody laughed. It's funny if you listen to it. It means nothing. For them to try and use it in this fashion is ridiculous.
John Gotti's alleged activities supposedly revolve around the Gambino organized crime family. But there's another crime family that's gotten the attention of both law enforcement and the mafia of late, the Lucchese crime family. Their acting boss, said to be Little Al Darko, apparently didn't show up at his apartment here in Little Italy, and a lot of people would like to know why. Little Al, you see, was made acting boss of the Lucchese's, while boss Vic Amuso and underboss Anthony Gaspipe Casso went on the lam rather than go on trial in the so-called Windows case. That's the mob trial which features 400-pound capo-turned-witness Peter Chiodo, who survived 12 gunshots in a botched hit. Word on the street is that Vic and Gaspipe wanted Little Al to take care of 400-pound Pete, and when he blew it, Little Al decided to become the highest-ranking Fed stool pigeon yet. As for alleged Gambino boss John Gotti, jury selection in his trial is set to begin January 20th. Pablo Guzman, Fox 5 News.
A loud crash on the Upper East Side triggered a feeling of deja vu. A taxi cab plowed into scaffolding at 3rd Avenue and 62nd Street. 3 female passengers had to be treated for injuries. So did the driver, who still was training to be a cabbie. Less than a week ago, a different cab crashed into a scaffolding right across the street, killing the driver.
Well, people all over our city, all over the country, have responded to the story of that 8-year-old girl in the Bronx. The police who found her said it was the worst case of child abuse they'd ever seen. She is getting better. In fact, she got some extra lift from a special visitor. Steve Powers has this exclusive report.
Ever since the public learned of 8-year-old Taisha Carter's horrible ordeal, their hearts and gifts have gone out to her. As you know, Taisha is being treated for burns and scars over 95% of her body in a vicious case of child abuse. Today, Taisha and other children in the pediatrics ward got a special treat, a visit from rock star Toya Jackson.
I'm very well. She has a lot of spirit. She's very loving. She's very happy. She loved the dress that I brought her, the clothes. She was wonderful. I love her so much. She's doing really great.
LaToya's visit to the abused Taisha comes shortly after she startled the world with the accusation that her parents abused the children in the famous Jackson family.
We were dealing with a dysfunctional family. My father being very abusive and my mother allowing it to happen. I don't think it's normal. Physical abuse, mental, psychological, sexual abuse, they do leave scars for life. And it was very difficult for me, and Michael as well, to function in a lot of different ways.
LaToya has also identified herself with other causes, including the plight of animal owners who discovered their deceased pets had been thrown in a mass grave on Long Island. Before that, there was the controversy of her posing nude in Playboy. But there's no controversy involved with her visit to Taisha today.
She's a very loving girl with a lot of spirit. A lot of spirit. She's doing very well.
And meanwhile, the public, too, continues to give its heart to Taisha.
There are some outsiders who feel that New York is a cruel and a tough city, and indeed we have individuals like that here. But the outpouring of love and kindness to Taisha shows the true soul of New York and its people. In the Bronx, Steve Powers, Fox 5 News.
And just moments ago, a grand jury voted to indict that little girl's mother and her boyfriend. They're charged with assault, endangering the welfare of a minor, and unlawful imprisonment. Cora?
And John, we have a story right now that is still unfolding in Brooklyn. A baby only days old, kidnapped from one of the wards at St. Mary's Hospital. Penny Crone is there right now. Penny?
Corianne, 2 days ago, little Tiffany Lebron was born. Everything was fine here at St. Mary's Hospital until about 6:25 this afternoon. Then she was kidnapped. Her mother was hysterical. She went running into authorities. My baby is gone, my baby is gone. Her 17-year-old mother has been looking for her. And then just a couple of hours ago, the baby was found.
Some woman walked into the hospital dressed as a nurse, went to my niece's bedside, asked her did she want to apply for WIC. WIC is a formula program for babies. And then around 5 minutes later, she asked her to take the baby to get it weighed. This woman, my niece, was under the assumption that she was a nurse. So she gave her the baby, and 5 minutes later, when she didn't see her anymore, she went to, ask the nursery where her baby was. It was gone.
Now you're probably wondering, where was the baby found? Police say the kidnapper allegedly took the baby into St. John's Hospital, which is about a mile from here, walked into the emergency room and said, "This is my